Did you know that Smith machines are once again cool, and we have the coolest one available here at Bells of Steel? I'm Kayvon, founder of Bells of Steel, and this is our new rack attach Smith machine attachment. So I'm going to be going over a bunch of stuff today because this product has taken me a very long time to get exactly how I want it. So let me start off at the top with the most important features about it. So number one, it's rack mounted, but it's not just any rack mounted. There's a few rack mounted ones kicking around here and there, but what's special about the Bells of Steel one is the modularity of it. We came up with a bracket system that allows you to mount this on the inside of the rack, straight up and down, the inside of a rack on an angle, the outside of a rack, straight up and down, the outside of a rack on an angle. And so you kind of have it any way you want. And then it really just can be mounted. I'm gonna talk a little bit about the modularity and like mounting onto other brands and other heights and requirements, but it is best to check the specific product specs in the product page if you really want to know, hey, is this going to fit right with my, X or my X height? So I want to talk about just the actual Smith attachment itself. So this is with a fixed bar. It's a hollow bar, so you can't, it's basic chrome coating. It's not like a real bar, right? It's like a Smith bar. So the way that these things work, they have to be hollow to be able to mount it on. And I tried my best to get the knurling as good as I could. I did match the knurling to like a typical powerlifting bar. And as far as like specs, like dimensions, like, this matches up and this matches up with like a power ring. But the thing is, there's only so much you can do on one of these hollow things. It is not counterbalanced. It's just a regular Smith. So some people were asking for counterbalance. Counterbalance is nice for, people who are new, who are, maybe struggle to lift the weight of the actual bar itself. So we're able to build that in. And it does come with a, safeties that kind of tuck away and you can position them wherever you need. And then those safeties are reinforced with a spring. And then it comes with these little nubs. That's what you actually hook the hooks onto. So it doesn't go directly onto your rack. And one of the reasons I don't love the idea of some of the Smiths I've seen where the hook goes directly into the hole, to me, that is a less safe version. So I think this is a safer route to go, and that's kind of like the intention behind it. It also gives, depending on how you do it, but there is still some like a gap of space in between, so you can use the other side, and you can, mount your attachments in between, depending on what the attachment is. And then as far as when it goes on the outside, so the ideal mounting position is one bracket on an upright and one bracket on a cross member or a foot. And that's just gonna give it the most strength. So if you do drop it and, completely miss a lift and slam the piss out of this thing, it's gonna be more structurally sound if it's actually mounted in this position to a cross member or to a foot. Now that's not to say you can't mount in different ways, whether that's, both on the cross member or both on the upright. We have, I gave one of our first samples to a guy named Matthew Porter, who is like a mad scientist, home gym guy, and he has been training with it, soundly, just on his upright for months now. Of course, it has to be properly mounted down or secured. If you're going to do that, that does apply like more tipping force, right? But and his still, it's running strong. So that's kind of like the cool part of this, right? Is like, and we find it with our own racks. So like, we noticed that in the 6-post version, we had to mount our bracket a little bit different. We had to mount it sideways or whatever. As long as you can basically mount it, like it's good to go. You still need to make sure your rack is secure, but there's no safety issue with mounting it in different ways. I want to mention the actual angle positioning as well. There is like room for interpretation on how you want that. It's not just available to go on one angle. So for instance, we have this angle kind of maxed out, but you could have it, one spot over and have like less of a severe angle if that's your preference. You can mount it on a more severe angle or less of an angle. There is like room for options in there. And now I want to go like even deeper into the modularity of it. Okay, so like I mentioned before, it's designed for 84 inches and up for our 3x3 racks. But technically, you basically just need enough height on your rack to be able to accommodate the entire thing. And for tubing, for width, so in here, there's like additional bushings that come with it that help keep it like straight, like stable, right? So it's not sliding side to side. If you remove those bushings and you add your own bushings or your own washers or whatever to keep it in place, it could be mounted on a rack that is as thin as 61 by 61 millimeters or 60 by 60. So it can technically mount onto our 60 by 60 racks. We have to play around with it a bit more to get it right. But unfortunately, where our 60 by 60 racks don't line up well with it, and probably I'm gonna give a recommendation not to mount it onto your light commercial or your residential, is the holes. So the holes on this, you require, you ideally should have side holes on the upright itself, which unfortunately our 60 by 60s don't. You can, like I mentioned earlier, you could mount it directly to the cross members only, but that would ruin kind of like, if you, depending on the light commercial or residential, that might like take up the space of your entire rack. So at this time, I'm not recommending you mount it into our 60 by 60 racks until maybe like further testing. It also, you have to like adjust the cross members. It doesn't have the height currently on the light commercial. It doesn't work at all in the residential because there's simply not enough holes. On the light commercial, you have to be able to take the cross members down, which is kind of like everything down, cross members down, and it kind of ruins the rack itself. So for other brands, my recommendation is that it should work on most brands that have appropriate holes needed, that have the appropriate height needed, but you really need to double check on our product page. So we're putting up some pretty detailed bracket specs and Smith specs. So if you want to say, hey, is this going to fit on my XYZ rack? Take those measurements from the product page, line it up, and see if it'll work. But it's definitely not a guarantee, but it basically should fit on anything. Ideally, it should be a 3x3 or 75 by 75 millimeter, and with lots of holes on it and over 84 inches in height. Okay, so that's my modularity, warning. Now, I want to touch a little bit on why I left this for later. So why the Smith? Why use the Smith? There's an argument to be made that it's safer than free weights. I mean, it's tangibly safer because, of course, you can re-rack it quite easily. You can work without a spotter a lot easier than free weights. But a lot of people, kind of make the argument like the purpose of it, of free weights, is like that's an overall improvement. Like you're losing that, right? You're losing developing your stability muscles, and you should be able to squat free weight. And it's technically, you know, it's not safer, it's just maybe lazier. I love just being able to like focus on, you know, weight and cranking out as many reps as I can, and not so much on my technique and form. So that's kind of like the intention behind it. And then some people just love it. Bodybuilders, like, it's been a staple in bodybuilding forever. Again, like, it's focused more on, you know, pump and muscle growth, and not so much on, you know, the stability muscles and things like that. So that's kind of the intention of why the Smith. I do want to point out a couple of potential negatives for people out there. So one that we're aware of is the actual range of motion is limited by the actual height of the Smith attachment itself. And so I couldn't do a standing press in here. And this is a 90 I'm standing on right now. I couldn't do a standing press. It's too short. I'd have to do a seated press. Romanian deadlifts, hip thrusts, things on really low on the ground, you might need to stand on a blocks or whatever to get that range of motion you need. So there is like some people who have mentioned the range of motion itself, but there's a sacrifice, right? If we were to make this even longer, or change how it mounts or whatever to accommodate that range of motion, then you're kind of giving up something else. Okay, you get that range of motion, but you have to have a higher rack to be able to get it, and it excludes a lot of people. So that's kind of one thing that's been pointed out. The other thing is that it's not counterbalanced. So that is really important to some people, having that counterbalance. I did mention that earlier. And it does not have a counterbalance in it. Why don't I show you a couple exercises on this real quick. So going for a squat. Okay, so there's going to be a part 2 of this video where I'm going to talk about the BYOB version. So if you don't want this, generic hollow Smith machine bar, then the next segment's going to be just for you. This is the second part of the Balls of Steel Smith attachment video, where I'm going to be going over the BYOB, the bring your own bar version. So I kind of covered the entire Smith machine itself in the first half, and this one's just focusing on what this is, how it works, the positives, the negatives, and why you might love it. So number one, what it is a as I said, BYOB, bring your own bar. So in the earlier part of the video, I talked about how the regular version, or the three-piece version, just kind of comes with a regular old Smith bar. And those Smith bars are typically hollow. You can't get a great knurl on them because they're hollow. They don't feel like a real bar, which obviously doesn't really matter to a lot of people. But for the aficionados out there who want their home gym to be exactly as they want it, there is this version. So you can fit any bar in here. I shouldn't say any bar. Pretty much any bar in here that's 25 millimeter to 30 millimeter in diameter. And so any straight bar, as long as it's long enough and the diameter is within 25 to 30 millimeters. It's not really about the cost savings, right? You might think, it doesn't come with a bar, it's gotta be cheaper. Well, no, all that money you save on the bar goes into the actual machining and parts of the BYOB version. So it is about the same. So it's more just about the feel of the bar itself. The other plus on it is that the Smith has been designed for our racks, which are 49 inches wide. But with a BYOB, because there's nothing restricting about it, so the three-piece bar, it has to be 49 inches wide rack. But on this one, you could use it on a 47. I don't know if I'd recommend going any narrower than that. But again, you would just clamp your bar in a different spot, and there would just be more bar hanging off the side. So this, if you have a 47-inch rack, this is what you're probably going to want to get, because you won't be able to get the regular version. Now the downsides to it is just the overall complexity of it and the changing of it. So it's not a rapid change. So I kind of sacrificed rapid changing of the bar for more security, and they wouldn't have a great need to change out a bar every day. And by doing that, I could add more bolts and more securing to keep the bar fixed as safe as possible. And that leads me into the other kind of downside is there's a lot of bolts on this thing to like keep it, I'm gonna pull you in. There's a lot of bolts on this thing to like keep it nice and snug and safe. And these need to be regularly maintained. You should be, checking them and tightening them regularly and ensuring that they're all there. But there is a lot in here to make sure that that bar stays fixed. But that is the idea, extra security, extra clamps. But with that, I would say the first time you put this together, it will probably take you anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes to swap out. If you become a master like our parts manager here, you'll probably be able to do it in, under 2 minutes in the future. So, and then the other part of it is the actual hook system. So the hook system, this is a completely separate unit, right? So you have to actually clamp this on to your bar and follow the instructions and make sure it's aligned, and then you hook it on and off. But again, there's more maintenance, there's more double checking everything is tightened up and aligned properly too, making sure that you've got it aligned. So there's comes with a bit of extra work, but there's a lot of demand for this. People wanted to bring their own bar, and I think this is the best possible, safest possible solution that we could kind of engineer. All right, so I might starting to sound like a negative salesperson here, but I want to make sure you know exactly what you're getting because this isn't for everybody. The last part that you might not like is, as I mentioned earlier in the video, this is not counterbalanced. And so the hollow bar, I can't remember the weight off the top of my head. The hollow bar is maybe like 35 pounds, 25 pounds. And if you use your own bar, you're looking at 45 pounds. So it is it's kind of heavy for a lot of people, right? Just to take off like a solid bar. And so, if you're brand new or you're coaching somebody that's brand new, it's going to be kind of a heavy start point. Although I think in all of our testing and company workouts, I don't think there was anyone who worked out on this, ranging from extremely experienced to pretty novice, who wasn't able to squat just the bar for multiple reps. So yeah, that's kind of the BYOB summary, and I'll do a couple demo exercises so you can see how it works, same as the other one. And there you have it. That is the complete overview of the Bells of Steel Smith Machine rack attachment. So if you want to get yours and get your Smith on, just click in the link below and let the gains begin. Hey folks, Kayvon here, founder of Bells of Steel. I hope you loved that video. Be sure to smash that like button and leave a comment below. And if you want any of the awesome home gym equipment you saw in this video, be sure to follow the links in the description and let the gains begin.